Imagine it's a bright, unseasonably warm January day in Boston, 1919. People are out enjoying the brief respite from the winter cold, but in the industrial heart of the city's North End, a disaster of truly bizarre and horrifying proportions is about to unfold. This isn't a story about fire or an earthquake. It's the story of a 25-foot-tall tsunami of molasses that tore through a city. On January 15th, the temperature hovered around a balmy 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The North End neighborhood was a bustling hub of activity, dominated by a massive looming steel tank owned by the Purity Distilling Company. This tank was colossal, 50 feet high, 90 feet across end. It held over 2 million gallons of thick, dark, industrial-grade molasses. Now, you might just think of molasses as something you put in cookies, but in the early 20th century, it was liquid gold. It was a key ingredient in producing industrial alcohol, which was vital for manufacturing munitions during World War I. The war was over, but demand for alcohol, especially for rum, was still high. This tank was the key to a very profitable business. But residents had noticed something unsettling. For months, they'd heard strange groaning and rumbling sounds coming from the giant tank. Dark, sticky streaks of molasses would often weep down its steel sides, forming puddles at its base. Local children would even bring cups to collect the sweet, free candy. The company knew about the leaks, but simply painted the tank brown to hide them, ignoring the clear warning signs. They were in a hurry, rushing to meet demand, and they cut corners. Then, at around 12:30 p.m., lunchtime, the unthinkable happened. The quiet day was shattered by an earth-shaking series of pops, like a machine gun firing, followed by a monstrous, deafening roar. The giant steel tank had catastrophically failed. It didn't just leak, it ripped apart at the seams. In an instant, 2.3 million gallons of molasses weighing around 12,000 tons erupted outwards. This wasn't a slow ooze, it was an explosion. A dark brown wave, estimated to be 25 feet high, surged through the streets at a terrifying 35 miles per hour. This viscous tsunami had the power of a locomotive. It slammed into the elevated railway tracks nearby, ripping the steel support columns from their foundations and causing a train to derail. Buildings in its path were obliterated. A firehouse was lifted clean off its foundation and collapsed, trapping the firefighters inside. Wooden homes were splintered into kindling. Wagons, trucks, and horses were swept away like toys. People caught in the open had no chance. The sheer force of the wave was enough to crush bones and cause deadly internal injuries. But for those who survived the initial impact, a second, more insidious horror awaited. They were trapped. The molasses, which was warm inside the tank from the fermentation process, began to cool rapidly in the cold January air. As it cooled, it became incredibly thick and sticky, like a giant sheet of flypaper. People were sucked down into the muck, unable to move. unable to breathe. The wave was a churning mass of syrup, debris, and the bodies of its victims. Rescuers who rushed to the scene were met with a nightmare. They had to wade through a waist-deep sea of sticky goo, every step a monumental effort. They heard the cries for help from people buried in the wreckage, but getting to them was agonizingly slow. Horses, a vital part of city life, were stuck fast, their struggles only pulling them deeper into the mire. Many had to be shot by police because there was simply no way to free them. The scene was one of complete and utter devastation. In the end, 21 people lost their lives, and more than 150 were seriously injured. It took rescuers 4 days of slogging through the sticky mess just to find all the bodies. Then came the cleanup. How do you clean up millions of gallons of molasses? For weeks, the city of Boston tried everything. Firefighters used high-pressure hoses to spray salt water from the harbor onto the cobblestone streets, trying to dilute the syrup and wash it away. But it had seeped into everything cellars' storm drains and the very pores of the buildings that remained standing. The harbor was stained brown for months. And for years afterward, on warm summer days, Boston residents swore they could still smell the sweet, sickly scent of molasses lingering in the North End, a ghostly reminder of the tragedy. So what caused this catastrophe? The official investigation and the class action lawsuit that followed, one of the longest in Massachusetts history, revealed a shocking story of corporate negligence. The tank was built in a hurry in 1915 to cash in on the wartime demand. The steel walls were far too thin to hold the immense pressure of the molasses. The riveting was shoddy, and crucially, the company had never performed the most basic safety check, filling the tank with water to test for leaks before pouring in 12,000 tons of molasses. They had been warned, they saw the leaks, and they did nothing. The court ultimately found the Purity Distilling Company entirely at fault. They were ordered to pay what would be the equivalent of millions of dollars today to the victims and their families. But the legacy of the Great Molasses Flood went far beyond the courtroom. The disaster was a brutal wake-up call for the entire country. It led directly to the creation of stricter building codes and industrial safety standards. From that day forward, governments began requiring that structures like tanks, bridges, and buildings undergo rigorous professional engineering reviews and testing before they could be used. Your safety today, when you walk under a bridge or past a construction site, is owed in part to the lessons learned from this sticky tragedy. Today, if you visit Boston's North End, the site of the disaster is now a peaceful park with a baseball field and a bocce court. There's a small, discreet plaque that tells the story of what happened there over a century ago. It's a quiet memorial to a tragedy born from a combination of greed, haste, and a very, very large tank of molasses. It remains one of history's strangest and most sobering reminders that cutting corners can have devastating and deadly consequences. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as incredible as I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the forgotten corners of history. See you next time.